This is the fourth dialogue between J. Krishnamurti, David Bohm, and it includes Dr. Parshere. At Brockwood Park, 1975.
Well, I mean, I think that through during the scientists' conference, which incidentally was very successful, and all those that I've talked to are very happy with it. Yes. I mean, I've talked with several who are in England, and they liked it very much. And I think several questions came up which, are related to what we've been talking about. And I would say that we have to get into the questions of beauty and goodness and love, but probably it would be best to start with desire, I felt, because that perhaps is
the root of it.
It's the factor which is the cause of the confusion, because it imitates those three.
Why has desire become such an extraordinarily important thing in life?
Yes, well, perhaps if we discussed a little around it first,
yes,
to say that I looked up the word.
Yes.
And it's based on a French word which originally meant something missing.
Something missing.
Yes, and obviously its basic meaning is yearning, longing, craving, and hankering.
Hankering, yes.
So, and the closely associated words are belief and hope, you see.
Quite.
And hope, for example, is the confident expectation that desire will be realized. And I think belief is connected with it. See, the word belief has the word love in it, leaf.
Leaf, yes.
And love in the sense of desire, which we were discussing.
Correct.
And therefore, what you believe is what you desire to believe, you see. Therefore, it's the source of falseness, because you accept as true just because you desire it. So the whole story of, you say, desire and belief and hope and despair are in desire, you see.
Right.
Now, so the question is, you see, why do we long for, what is it we long for, and why do we long for it?
Yeah, that's what I mean. What is the meaning of that word long for?
Well, that's very ambiguous, because it may perhaps mean something genuine, and it may mean something false.
False, quite. Does one long for anything actual or abstract?
Well, in general, one longs for something abstract. I mean, I don't know if one might feel that there was a real possibility.
I might long for that car.
Yes, but suppose we say you could long, I mean, I'm not saying for or against, but you could long for, say, to end this state of society, you see, which is...
Yes.
I mean, try to make it a little deeper.
Little different, yes. I long for...
the ending of this ugly state of society.
Yes, ugly, yes. I would like, if I may, a separate desire is thought separate from desire?
Well, that's the question we have to go into.
That's
you see, that in general, I would say that thought and desire are the same.
Same, so would I.
But you see, for example, you frequently talk about desire arising in perception, contact, and sensation.
Yeah,
desire.
yeah.
Now, it seems to me that you may be right, but usually we're caught in a kind of desire for that which is imagined.
So it is part of thought.
It is part of thought, but then you seem to be describing something else, which is not part of thought. You say you start from perception.
No, I see that car.
That's perception.
Not only perception, I see the color, the shape of the car, the ugliness of that particular car, and I don't want it. I wouldn't go in it. That is a perception and a sensation.
A sensation, yes. Good or bad.
Yeah, a sensation.
Now, you say sensation is the root of desire. Is that what you're implying?
That's what I'm trying to get at.
But sensation is also part of perception. I mean, you can't...
No, you can't separate the two, but which is first, sensation or perception?
Well, I've looked at that, and I feel that perception is first. Because, you know,
if I didn't see that car, I couldn't quite...
You can't have a sense of something until something to be seen. That is, a sense would have no meaning if we're not connected with what was being sensed.
So eyes play a tremendous part in perception.
Yes, but also sound perception.
Sound perception, taste.
Taste perception, so on, touch perception.
Touch. All the senses.
Yes.
And then how does desire arise from perception?
Well, that's, it seems to me that somehow thought and imagination come in, but you seem to say it's more direct than that.
Does imagination come into it?
Well, in the form that desire usually takes, it does. You see, I think most of our desires are, by now, for things that are imagined, do you see? Although what you say may have been the beginning. For example, the example I gave of the different state of society.
Different society.
There's an intense desire for that on the part of many people, which drives them very hard, and I think that's imagined, isn't it? That new state of society.
Let's see now. Desire. I want, a group of us want to change the structure of society.
Into something better, say like Karl Marx.
Karl Marx. The desire born out of perception of the state of society, which actually is.
Which is very ugly.
Ugly.
And the sensation is unpleasant.
Yes, yes. So seeing or observing or thinking what the society now is, and to change that.
I imagine a better state.
Better state.
Yes,
is that part of desire?
Well, it seems so, at least at first sight.
I'm just...
Yeah, I mean, it seems that there is an intense desire for that imagined state. See, people...
Or is it perception?
Perception, how is that?
I perceive the rottenness or the corruption or the malaise of this society. I see it. That perception drives me, not my desire to change society. My perception says this is ugly.
Yes.
And that very perception is the action of the movement to change it.
Yes, but now...
I don't know if I'm making...
Yes, well, then there's a longing to change it.
Is there a longing?
Well, if we say it's desire, it's implied.
Desire, I'm just seeing whether...
I mean, see, if we go back to that meaning of the word, something is missing, you see. There is a longing for something that's missing.
Or I perceive that very perception, we said, is action. Perception is action. The perception of the society as it is ugly. Let's use that word for the moment. And that very perception demands action.
Yes, but now we can't act immediately, at least that's the...
I know, but the perception then begins to formulate what kind of action to take place.
Well, that comes by thinking about it as a rule.
Yes, of course.
The perception creates a demand either for or against.
Yes.
Right? Through sensation.
Is perception a part of desire?
Well, I should say it not in the beginning. You see that, but as soon as it reaches the sense of ugliness or beauty, You see, well, it's implicitly that, of course, but you see, if you merely see the state of society without a sense that it is ugly or beautiful.
No. Perception itself is action, right?
Yeah.
A perception, the ugliness of society is perceived.
Yes.
And that perception, I won't even use the word ugly because then we have to go into contrary. Perception is the root of action. Now, and that action may take time and all the rest of it. Where does desire come in this? I don't see it.
Well, but it does seem to come in, doesn't it?
As far as I'm concerned, it doesn't.
Well, why do you say that?
What?
I say, why do you say that? I mean, what would you say to those people who want to change society? Would you say that?
I would say, is it your perception that is acting, or your prejudice against, or your desire to change in order to achieve something else?
But it's still a desire, isn't it?
That is desire.
Yeah.
Is perception part of desire? I don't think it is.
No, you frequently said that after there's perception, contact and sensation,
Yes,
and then
yes,
that becomes
yes.
desire, right?
Yes, but once that is quite right.
Yeah.
But once there is perception,
Yes.
where does desire come into in carrying out that perception?
Well, I mean, in principle, if you could immediately carry it out, there would be no need for desire,
No,
wouldn't there?
of course, that's one thing.
Yes.
But I can't carry out immediately.
Therefore, you think something is missing. You say, I can't. It should be this way, but I would like to carry out. I mean, what I see, and I can't do it immediately.
So desire is actually a motive power. Perception directly
I
cannot.
don't accept that.
It may be uncontaminated by some.
I don't accept perception has desire. Desire is the motive of perception. You perceive society is rotten. You perceive the actual, let's put it there, actuality is perceived. In that actuality of perception, where does desire come in?
Not in perception.
That's what I...
Yes, well, we have to find out why it comes in, do you
Yeah,
see?
that's what I want to get at.
I mean, you see, if we had something very simple that I perceive some object like an apple, and I would like to eat it, and I just eat it, there's no problem of desire, right? Because it's right there.
It's there.
Now,
Let's move a little further.
yeah. On the other hand, if I can't get the apple, then there may come the desire, a problem of desire. You see, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but suppose I perceive something which
I can't get.
I can't get, not immediately, or at least I don't know how to get it.
Yes.
And then desire may arise.
May arise.
It doesn't have to, I didn't say.
No. May arise because I want that apple.
Mhm.
Because I like the taste and so on.
Yes.
That's one thing. I perceive the actuality of society and I act. Where does desire come in that?
Or if you do act, desire doesn't come in, but you see, but you may feel you don't know how to act. Do you see? In other words,
I may not know how to act. Therefore, I will consult, talk.
but after
discuss it
consulting a
over.
while, you may become discouraged. You see,
My perception is so clear, it
Yeah.
cannot be discouraged.
well, that may be so, but I'm describing what generally happens.
Yeah.
You see,
Of course, what generally
what
happens
generally
is-
happens is, let's say I perceive the falseness and rottenness of society, and I think, I consider how to change it. I talk with people and so on. After a while, I begin to see that it doesn't change all that easily.
You're quite.
And perhaps at some stage I may begin to feel, well, it doesn't look possible at all. But then may come a longing to change it nevertheless.
If I see it is not possible to change,
Yes.
then it's finished.
It's finished, but then why is it that people don't accept that?
That's it.
Right, you see, I'm just describing what is the general experience, which is that on seeing that this thing is not possible, there is the longing for that which is not possible, or
Yes, the longing for that which is not possible.
and that is the form of desire which is always frustrated, and it creates all these problems.
Yes.
Now, on the other hand, you can't say, I accept that the society will go on false forever, you see.
No, of course not. So, I don't quite yet see the relationship between perception and desire.
Well, perhaps there is none, you see.
I understand that.
Yes, but why is it that there seems to be one, or at least people apparently? See, in general...
Is it, sir, is it perception that's driving them, or they have never perceived and only desire is operating?
Well, that may be that the perception itself was born of desire, at least what they think is perception, right?
Yes.
But then the question is, where did desire originate?
Oh, that's a different matter.
It seems mysterious why there should be this desire there.
No, I see that car.
Yeah.
I like to own it. I associate that car with pleasure.
But it wouldn't only be possible to get into that if at some stage perception failed, to get caught in it.
I don't quite have
Well, you see, if you say, I'd like to own the car, there's still no problem unless you have this intense longing, which is desire, which drives you, right?
Ah, I see.
You could say, I like to own the car. If it's possible, I'll own it. If it's not, I won't. You
I
see.
won't.
Then
That's
there's no
simple
problem.
enough. No problem.
That's not usually what is meant by desire.
No.
But usually,
Desire means longing
longing for what you cannot get.
Yes.
Whether you can get it or not, you long for it.
Uh-huh. See, I don't function that way.
But we have to understand this function because it seems to be the general function.
That's a general function. I agree.
And see, first of all, it's not clear why it should be there. Not clear to me anyway.
Which is desire.
Desire, yeah. Rationally, there's no reason for it, you see. But as far as one can see, but it's still there, very powerful, you see, all over the world.
Is desire based on sensation?
Well, that's what we're exploring. You see, I think it's not entirely a sensation. I don't know, but it may be.
Sensation, imagination.
Yes.
An imaginative pleasure one is going to get.
Yes, I think it's based on the imagination of not really of pleasure, but of beauty, and even of what is good. You see, in other words, that all that is missing, or appears to be missing, is imagined, and this gives a tremendous energy. You see that. People generally desire things which are regarded as beautiful.
Yes.
And in fact, you take things like gold or precious stones, which have very little value in themselves, but people have attached to it because of the eternal beauty of it, and therefore they're ready to do anything for it.
And also desire for power,
for power is the same thing.
Same thing.
Yes. Because
how does it arise? Is that it?
Yes. How does it arise, and what is the meaning of it? You see, that's the.
How does it arise? I see you driving in a big car, you, the politician in a big position, you, and I want that. I like to have that.
Yes, but it's not clear why I drive myself to it to such lengths to
Because
get.
it gives me tremendous pleasure.
Yes, but then why do I want the pleasure? You see, that's the.
Why? I see.
I mean, unless I were to being confusing this pleasure with something else, which would be of a tremendous value.
All all pleasure is the only thing I know.
But what kind? The only thing of what kind? Because I know a lot of things. You see, I mean, I know all sorts of objects.
No, I live such a superficial life.
Yeah.
My education is superficial, and pleasure is superficial, and so I long for that.
But I mean, it must seem that it's not superficial, or it wouldn't be worth longing for.
If it was not,
I say it must at least appear to be not superficial, or it would not be worth longing for. You see, I don't think anybody longs for something that he recognizes to be superficial.
I know. That's what I say. That's what, of course. If I recognize pleasure was superficial,
There's no
then it's
longing.
not longing.
But somehow there's a feeling that pleasure is something else, something very significant, very deep.
Is pleasure deep?
Well, it may look that way.
Of course, may look, but is it actually?
It isn't, but you see, why does it look that way? You see in other words...
Why am I deceived by thinking pleasure is very deep?
Yes.
What do you think?
There is more of a lasting element in pleasure's demand than the depth. It doesn't understand actually the depth of pleasure, but a continuity in the sensation or the.
So is pleasure one of the factors of covering my emptiness?
Yeah, well, it may be, you see, but I think that pleasure helps create the impression of some sort of full, harmonious, beautiful life, you see. It covers this.
I see. Is pleasure associated with beauty?
I think it is, you see, that in general, the way the very fact that the word love is connected with desire and also with beauty would suggest that pleasure and beauty are somehow associated. That, see, people expect that a beautiful thing will give pleasurable experiences.
Yes, I understand that. But is I see something very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Where does pleasure arise in that? I like to own it. I like to possess it.
I'd like to have it forever, you said.
Forever.
I'd like the experience to be repeated somehow.
Yeah, I like to have it forever.
I'd not necessarily own it, but just so it would
Yeah,
be there forever.
Be there.
Yeah.
Why do I do this?
Because of the kind of fear that you will be without it. You see that.
Is it in myself I'm not beautiful?
Well, that may be part of it. The sense of not having contact with beauty in myself, and therefore wanting something.
So, is beauty out there, and therefore I want it?
Well, it's rather, see, it's both. You see, even in the dictionary, it said beauty is not merely the quality of the thing, but the quality of the person who perceives. It's one and the same. In other words, it's both the quality of the thing and the quality of the sensation.
Yes.
and in some sense no division of the observer and the observed. I mean, that's more or less recognized in the dictionary. That idea is recognized in the dictionary. You see that it belongs both to the observer and the observed. Now, but the way I look at it is this: suppose I say I have no beauty, no contact with beauty, but by seeing a thing, I create the beauty in me.
Yes, I understand that.
And then we say the thing is gone, so I'm back in the previous state.
Yes.
And then I begin to long for that experience again.
So what is the problem, sir?
Well, I think that the question really is to understand this process of desire, because without understanding it, I don't think that the confusion around thought will end. In other words, it can be seen on one side as desire and on the other side as what we've been discussing, truth and reality and so on.
Yes.
Right? When desire is on the side of the feeling. In other words, once this confusion arises in desire, then it drives the whole mind into falseness.
Would you say desire is in the field of reality?
Yes, but it seems it's in the field of reality, but it's that thing which presents itself in some ways not in the field, you see. In other words...
I see, I get it.
It presents itself as apparently a way to...
Can I desire truth?
That's something. You see, it would seem I could desire truth, or at the very least I could desire beauty or good. You see, it's generally accepted that you could have a desire for the good or the beautiful or the true. In our usage of language, that's acceptable.
Yes, I understand that.
And in fact, most people would agree that that's quite reasonable. Now, I understand you're questioning that, you see.
Yes, I'm questioning that. Is beauty in the realm of reality?
Yes, or is the good in the realm of reality?
Yes, good in the realm of reality.
Because I think I should say that good and beauty most people regard them almost equivalent.
Synonymous.
And in the very root of the word bene and see, beauty and good in Latin have related roots.
Good, yes.
In fact, beatus also means blessed, or
blessed, yes.
It also has the same root, you see. So.
I wanted to ask this of the reality and truth I've been talking about some time.
Stick to the same point we are discussing.
Yes. When you say it is in reality, is it in reality or is it in truth? I don't quite see the distinction sometimes. Because in reality, normally, there is relatedness, there is relativity. Do you mean to say that in truth, this relativity or conditional...
It's not, of course not. No, just look at this. We said beauty, love, and goodness. Is that in the field of reality, created by thought, and something I long to get that.
Yes, well if it were in the field of thought, then I could reasonably long to have it. You see?
That's it.
Because I could say it's somewhere in the field of reality, but I don't know exactly where I'm separated from it. And I long to overcome the separation.
That's it.
Right?
That's it.
You see,
and is that good? Beauty and love in the field of reality?
No, that's something we should discuss. It's along with creation.
Yes, that's it.
And so on, and truth. Now,
so desire is in the field of reality.
Yes, well, desire is a movement in the field of reality.
Yes.
And it projects within that field something which should be outside of it,
Yes.
But it becomes an impossible movement because since that which it projects is not in the field of reality, desire can never be satisfied.
That which is projected is part of reality.
It's part of reality, but
one doesn't recognize that.
That's right. But at the same time, it will never. There's always the feeling that that's not all. Do you see? You see, I think there's always a contradiction in desire.
Oh, of course, that's
Because you project this in the field of reality, and even if you were to achieve it, you would feel this is not all that I wanted.
right. But it's still, when you say it's not all that I
That's still in the
want,
field.
it's still there.
I know, that's the contradiction.
Yes,
That the field
yes.
of reality gets broken in two, you see.
Yes.
The part that you have and the part that you
That you
want.
haven't- yes.
You haven't got.
But it's still in the field of reality.
Yeah.
So it's good in the field of reality.
No, I think it's clear it's not, you see.
It's obviously not. Then longing for beauty, as it is in the field of reality, is a movement of thought projecting beauty and longing for it.
Yes. Yes, or at least, you see, remembering the beauty that was perceived and longing to continue
yes.
it and so on, or
Yes.
to some new one, form.
Yes. So could we say, what is beauty which is not in the field of reality?
Well, that's the thing we have to
Huh?
go in, yes.
Goodness which is not in the field of reality.
Mhm.
Would you then say there is some goodness in the field of reality too? Because then,
Of course there's some goodness in the field of reality. Not the goodness which is not induced by thought. I can induce myself to be good. I can cultivate, practice goodness. But that is not the goodness of truth.
Well, the goodness may act in the field of reality.
Goodness.
possible?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
No, but I'm puzzled a little about beauty, which seems very hard, rather mysterious in some ways. If we say there is an object, like the tree, in the field of reality, which is beautiful, now, but it is not beauty. It is, see, in other words, beauty is not in the field of reality. It's the essence.
Yes, that's the thing. Quite.
Right?
Quite.
Now,
No, I would say beauty is not in the field of reality.
yes, but now the tree is in the field of reality. So
No, tree is, it is.
Right, then we have to get it clear, because
And that's
ordinarily,
it.
yes, this requires clarification, because
Yeah.
in the ordinary use of language, we would say the tree is real, you see.
Yeah. No, quite.
Now, so now, and in some, for example, if you were a lumberman, you would treat it as a reality.
Of course. I think what is beautiful.
Yes. All right, but then we see we're liable to fall into difficulty of language if we say that the tree is not real, but it is. Do you see?
Yes.
The tree is that which is, but it is not real.
Yes, put it that way.
But that's such a violation of the ordinary usage.
Of course.
would you please then, when you say what is,
No, he said something,
yes, I,
which is the tree, as we generally accept, is a reality. But that which is, we say, is truth. And I, looking at the tree, bring it into a field of reality, thinking about it.
Or you also acting on it as a real thing.
As a carpenter.
that's what I was about to say. Whether it is truth or reality depends entirely on the way of knowing, way of approaching,
You can't know truth.
way of seeing. When you say what is,
No, you can't. That's the problem. Whole problem is that. We discussed it.
Mhm.
I mean, let us get clear. We say goodness is not in the field of reality.
It may act there, but it is not. In essence, it is not there.
In essence, it is not in the field of reality. Good works, good behavior, good taste, good food, good good thoughts are all there
In the field of reality.
in the field of reality. But goodness, the essence of it, is not in reality. So is, I mean, the wallpaper created by thought is beautiful. It's quite beautiful. The coloring, those birds, the shape of the limbs, the whole pattern of movement in the wall is beautiful. It's created by thought, therefore it's in the world of reality.
Yes, and many ideas may be beautiful.
Correct. Many ideas, all the rest of it. So, where does desire?
Well, we haven't finished the question with beauty there, because you see, let's say you say the tree is that which is, it is beauty, right? Right,
That which is beautiful.
Right, is beautiful.
That's something we just
Yeah, but
discovered.
now the wallpaper, you say, is created by thought. It is also,
But also it is.
it is.
That's
Now, we
quite
have-
different.
Yes, and we should get it clear,
Yeah.
because.
That's quite different. I see it. Yes.
But how do we get it clear? Because you see, even that which is created by thought may be that which is, then, is what you're saying.
Now go slow, go
You see,
slow. Go slow. Go
this
slow.
language is very
Very
treacherous
good.
here.
Yes, right.
And
That which is created by thought, like a car,
or like the wallpaper,
like the wallpaper,
which may be beautiful,
it's
like
made
the
beautiful.
tree, right?
Yes, that is. What are we?
You were saying just now, sir, that good taste,
Good ideas,
good ideas, good
and so on, so on.
along the field of reality.
Of course.
And this would come in that category.
In that category, but it is there,
Yeah, it is there.
as the tree is there.
Oh,
Yes.
yes. Is there a difference?
Yes.
That's
Oh
what
yes, there is one.
when you say what is,
And there's vast difference between what is on the wall, created by thought,
yes,
that is equally, that's beautiful, like good idea, good food, good clothes, good, and all the goodness. And that we say, because it's created by thought, it is in the field of reality. But yet it is.
yes.
It is there.
That's what I want to ask further.
Wait, it is there. Then what's the difference between that, those birds, the movement of the birds, and the movement of the tree?
Is it a difference in knowing? That's
No,
what I'm asking.
no, nothing to do with knowing. Just go slow. What is it?
The way of knowing.
No, not the way of knowing. We say that wallpaper, with all the coloring, with all the shade, with all the movement of it, is created by thought, and therefore it's in the world of reality, and yet it is beautiful, and yet it is.
Yes?
It is. Thought hasn't created the tree, but it is. What's the difference between that and that? Between that wallpaper and that tree?
I can enumerate the
No.
I can enumerate the difference.
What's the difference?
This is created by thought. That's not created by thought.
No. I say, what is the difference? What I say that is, and also I say that is.
Yes.
Both are. Therefore, both are out of the field of reality. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they're both out of it and in it, depending on. You see, because in another way of looking, you can say that the wallpaper is part of reality.
Wallpaper is part of
And
reality.
so is the tree in some way.
And we say that wallpaper is.
Yes. Well, are you saying it's
that is as destructible as the tree.
that is what? I didn't get that.
That can be destroyed
The same
as
as
the tree.
Yes.
But we say that is in the field of reality,
Yes.
and yet it is beautiful
Mm-hmm.
in that field. And also we say it is.
It is. Now, are you discussing there its actuality when you say it is?
That's actual also.
Yes, it is actual. But is that what you mean by the word it is?
Yes, yes. Both are actual.
Both are actual. Yes, and therefore they have their own activity and the activity of our
They
perception.
both are actual.
Yes.
And we say beauty is not in the field of reality.
Yes. But is it in the field of actuality?
That's actual.
That is actual, and beauty is
But be
actual.
careful.
Yeah, it is actual, and beauty is actual. Is it?
Beauty is actual.
Yes.
And we say beauty is not, in essence, in the field of reality. But
Yes. But it is actual, and then through that may act in the field of.
yes, it acts,
Yeah.
all that. Now, what is the difference, sir, between two actualities? One actuality in the field of reality, one actuality which is not in the field of reality. Is there an actuality, I'm just questioning, in the field of truth?
Well, we say truth acts.
Truth acts.
Yes.
Hmm?
But are you raising the question whether there is actuality in the essence? I mean, is that your question?
Yes. We both say both are actuality.
Yes. There are different orders of actuality in some way. I mean, the tree and the
Ah,
wallpaper.
moments say a different
Well,
order.
they're different kind of actuality.
Yes, different kind of
because,
actuality.
The wallpaper was created by the thought of mankind.
Yes.
Although it has a certain actuality which wasn't, say, the material of which it was made. It was not created by the thought of mankind, right? You see, it was made of some material which exists in various transformations. You see, whatever it was, in other words, it may have been made from paper, which was made from wood, which grew. But the form put on it is mankind, right? It's the thought of mankind.
Man has put that pattern.
Yes.
But in essence, that and the tree are this. In essence, are the same.
Yeah.
Therefore, why do we say? I think we agree. Why do we say then, truth is not in the field of reality?
Well, I think that when back to the way we use the word, that real means to be a thing, which is, what we think about, and it is limited and conditioned and so on. Now, you see, would we say that? Say truth is unconditioned. There's no thing.
Yes, no thing.
And beauty is no thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And goodness is no thing. You see.
That's right.
Now, but they are actual. That's what we're implying, right?
No, sir, let's go slowly in this. If it is no thing, is there an actuality?
Well, that's the question. See, for example, in the conference with the scientists, you mentioned something which was some sort of energy.
Yes.
Which I can't remember was self-sustaining and orderly, right?
Yes. Non-contradictory.
Non-contradictory.
Regretting.
So in a way it was a substance, a self-sustaining energy, which is of cosmic sort.
Yes.
And now, which we could say, in some is the energy of that which is. I mean, is that what you mean to say? It is the energy. It is the same as that which is.
That we'll have to go into this carefully.
Yeah.
Very carefully.
Because you did mention that before, and that idea, in fact, has arisen in many contexts, even in physics, and so I won't go into it now, but a rather similar idea has arisen in physics, that there's an energy in empty space.
Yes.
which
yes,
is
absolutely. I
completely
agree.
orderly.
I agree. Which is orderly.
Orderly, I mean
Quite,
perfect order.
Quite.
And
So, reality is a thing.
no, it's totality of all things.
Thing.
Yeah,
When you
things,
put it-
yeah.
Reality is a thing.
Yes,
Truth is not a thing.
yes,
Therefore, it's nothing.
yes,
The thing creates energy. In
it has a kind of energy,
other one kind of energy,
limited energy.
limited energy. The not a thing which is empty is unlimited.
There's
energy.
unlimited energy. And you say that unlimited energy is what you imply is self-sustaining. It doesn't depend on something else.
Doesn't depend.
And it might
This
even-
depends. The other
But
doesn't.
ultimately, even this may depend on that. You see, is that a possibility? That the
What
thing, even the thing, ultimately depends on the
On that.
unlimited energy, and on that you see.
Of course.
Of
That's
course.
what we go back. Then we caught in a trap, which is God is in us.
But you see, if you
That
say
energy, the supreme energy, is in man.
no, man depends on it.
Depends on it.
You see,
Because one doesn't depend upon it, one becomes evil.
becomes one. No, there's no. Let's try to put it differently. You see, it was related to the question as to whether this energy, the energy of thought,
Is one thing.
is one thing, or is it just that thought? It's all one energy which is being used wrongly.
Yes.
You see,
Yes,
that's
we
the
went
question.
talked about that.
Yeah, but it was never quite settled. You
No,
see.
we never worked it out.
No, but I think it's similar to say, is there one energy which makes the emptiness and the things,
Yes, yes.
or are there two energies?
One energy. Oh, there is only one energy. We are saying, so discussing. There is only one energy which is used in reality and therefore destructible and perverted and deteriorating, degenerating, and all the rest of it. And that same energy is nothingness.
Yes.
Nothingness being death. What's that?
Right.
I think, I'm just hesitating to put it forward. I think that energy, born of nothingness, is different from the other.
But is there no unity?
I'm just exploring.
Suggesting that, but no
I've never-
connection.
I think there is one-way connection.
One-way connection.
That is from nothingness to thing,
Mhm.
but thing to nothingness is not possible. So, now let's go slowly. I want to, is the energy of nothingness different from the energy of thing? For the moment, I just explained. For the moment, I see that it is different. Different in the sense, dissimilar.
They're dissimilar. Yes, that's one meaning of different.
Yeah,
But
dissimilar.
But it still allows for a relationship.
Huh?
It allows for a one-way relationship.
A one way of relationship.
Yes.
Or are they both the same? One in the field of reality, and therefore misuse, deteriorating, and all the rest of it. In the other, it is endless. It is not.
Yeah. Well, let's try to put it that there is one energy which is endless, which includes the finite. That is,
yes,
in other words,
yes.
rather than saying that, see, the other view is instead of saying there are two, we say there is one, which is infinite, but the infinite includes the finite and does not exclude it. You see, that is one view.
Yes, that's one view. I understand that. That's one view. I don't want to get into views.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one proposal.
Proposal.
Right. Now, the other proposal.
The other proposal is there is no relationship from the thing to nothingness, but...
No, that's the same in both proposals. You see, if you say it's infinite, which contains the finite,
yes.
Therefore the infinite is related toward the finite, but it doesn't mean the finite can do anything to the infinite.
Correct. I see it for them as it being different.
All right.
Nothingness is death, we said. Which means total ending. Right, sir? Thought in the world of reality has never an ending. Thought creates its own energy. I'm trying to... Are they both the same, from the same source? One, human beings degenerate that energy, and the same, and the source of water is polluted in the world of reality, and it is the same water in the world of in the world of truth. Same water. I mean, the energy. Is that it? Electricity, you misuse it, and somebody else doesn't misuse it. It is electricity. Or is that source of energy, which is of nothingness, is that energy totally different, dissimilar? I got the question all right. Let's put this way, sir. Can from the field of reality, can there be a movement to truth from there? No. Why?
Well, because again, the field of reality is conditioned. It's made of things.
So as it has no relationship to reality, to truth, then truth can operate in the world of reality. Then there is no connection.
No, there is a one-way connection.
One-way connection,
yes.
But therefore there is no... It is not an interacting relationship.
No, it's not a mutual relationship.
Yeah.
No. It's one way, and perhaps you could say truth acts in reality through death. That is through seeing ending the false, for example.
Yes. the ending. This, we go back to the same thing.
What?
Thought can be ended. Obviously, one can see that. Is that ending of thought the same as the nothing, not a thing? I don't know if I'm...
Well...
no, sir. No. This is, I'm getting at it. I think this is right. There are two separate energies.
What?
The energy of nothing is totally different from the other.
But then you haven't explained why there can be the relationship in which the nothing operates in the field of thought or reality.
It can operate because it's everything.
Yes, all right, but then therefore it includes...
No.
What do you mean by saying everything, you say?
Everything in the sense, in nothingness, I must be careful here. We say nothingness means ending. Ending of ending. That is not a thing. In the world of reality, ending means a continuation in a different form.
Yeah.
Now, this has no continuity, truth. That has a continuity.
Yes, all right, that difference we can see.
We just... This has a movement in time, this has no movement in time. Are they the same movement?
Is time a sort of a small movement within the infinity?
Yes, quite.
Because you did use the analogy in the scientist conference of some small area inside a big space, you see. Now, do you want to look at time that way?
Yes, I see that. No, I still feel in my blood.
Yes.
This is totally different.
It's totally different. Then, yes.
Let's put it down this way, sir. In the field of reality, love has a different meaning.
What?
Jealousy, all that.
Well, no, that's when it's trapped in there. But I'm saying that love can act in the field of reality.
Love can act in the field of
in
reality.
A clear way, you see.
Yes,
right.
Love can act in the field of reality. But the love in reality is not love.
That's desire.
Desire and all the rest of it. We are getting slowly back.
Yeah. And beauty in reality is therefore, if it's trapped in there, it's not beauty.
Not beauty. So the love in nothingness, can act in the world of reality. But this can never be polluted in the field of reality. Therefore, it is something entirely original. I don't know. So could we begin the other way around? We say death is ending. And that which has a continuity can never be creative.
Yes.
That which has a movement in the time sense has no ending. And we say death is inward death is the ending of everything. everything.
Everything, yes.
The two, there is no relationship between the two. I would like to think that I can use the word of truth in reality.
Yes, well, we've been saying so far, though, that truth acts in reality.
Acts in reality. Now, is that so?
Mm-hmm.
Truth acts in reality. Can it? Can nothing, can not a thing, it has no movement, has it?
One.
Not a thing. How can not a thing act in reality? Reality is a thing.
Right.
Sorry. How can nothing act in...
Well, if we say that reality is actually nothing, you see that there's another view to say reality, the thing appears to be.
Ah, yes, of course.
But
that will go along to some other, quite. So, would you put it this way? A mind that has no measure, I'm just inquiring, that is not living in the world of measure, can that mind operate in the world of measure?
Yes, well, what does operate then, you see?
Only measure.
Well, measure operates in the world of measure, but this mind operates to see the falseness in that measure. Do you see? Suppose I say I make the measurement, and it's wrong, and I see
and I
it's
alter
wrong.
the measurement.
I alter it, but before I alter it, I have to see it, it's false, right?
Yes.
Now, isn't that the operation of truth?
I know, because I measured the table, the right length of the table, and I see that it doesn't fit in the room, therefore it's a...
Yes, all right, but now how do I see? See, if the mind is operating clearly, it will see that, otherwise, it may become confused and not see it.
Yes, that's clear. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If I measure properly, with a tape measure, and stick to that, then it's right.
Yeah.
But it's still in the world of measurement.
Yes, well, measurement operates in the world of measurement. You see, the thought itself is part of measurement, right?
Yes, yes.
But it's important that thought should be clear, and free of confusion, free of falseness. See, at present, through desire and through other factors, thought becomes false.
Yes, yes, I understand all that.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, now, what is the difference between the mind in which thought is false and the one in which thought is not false, do you see?
Can't the falseness be seen in the world of reality?
No, it's the truth of it that's seen.
Huh?
The truth of the world of reality is seen. See, the truth of the world of reality is its falseness.
Yes, in the world we are told. Yes.
Yeah. So
maybe we say this way: the world of reality is measurement. Let's stick to that for the moment, and that measurement may be false.
Yes, it may not
or
fit,
true.
Well, I would rather not say true, but
I mean,
correct.
Correct. Let's put it that. That measurement may be false or correct.
Yeah.
In the field of reality.
Yeah.
Now, in nothingness, there is no measurement.
There's no measurement, no. But
there is no measurement.
yes.
Now, what's the relationship between the two? This has measurement.
Yes.
This has no measurement.
Yes, but what is it that sees whether the measurement is fitting or whether you see if the measurement is false, there's contradiction.
Yes.
And now, what is it that sees the contradiction? You see.
Pain.
But it doesn't always work. You see, in other words, the mind is the world of measure cannot have any criterion in it.
No.
To guarantee the correctness. Do you see?
Correct,
something
right.
beyond it is needed.
But if my measurement is incorrect, there is disturbance.
Yes, but then I may suppress awareness of that disturbance.
Yes, but it's still in that area.
It's in that area, but what is it that sees that it is disturbance in that area?
Because I perceive I'm disturbed.
Yes, but many people don't perceive that.
Because they're insensitive, they are
Yes.
not aware, they are not conscious.
Yes, but then...
But it's
why-
still there.
Yes, but then why not, you see?
What do you mean, why not?
Why are they not conscious?
Because my education, I can give you 10 different
Yeah,
reasons.
but finally...
The measurement in reality becomes a part of consciousness and attachment to a person who measures from within, and to a mind which is in emptiness, has no attachment to the measurement which it does.
No, we said, sir, there is no measurement in nothingness. Let's stick to that for the moment. There is no measurement in nothingness. There is measurement in reality. Wrong, false measurement and
Correct measurement.
correct measurement.
Yeah.
And Dr. Bohm says, who perceives the false and the false and the correct? Who is the entity that sees in the world of reality the false and the correct? It is still the same mind which has measured.
Yes, but then there's no meaning to it, because this may be false at the next step. you
Of
see.
course.
But still, it seems there is some meaning to a thing being correct, because if you measure...
Because it fits, it's suitable, it's happy, it is convenient,
Yes, but
it is still there.
yeah,
I must stick to it. It's still there. Correct me, I won't...
well, that's still in that field, but in that field there is no way to guarantee what shall I
Pure
say?
correctness.
Pure correctness.
Agreed.
And now, see, we notice in some people there may be more ability or less ability
Of course.
to do
Agree.
that.
Agree.
All right, now, it seems to me that there must be some perception beyond that field.
Why? Why should there be some other perception except that? You can only say there's some other perception when there is nothingness.
Yes.
Is that nothingness a hypothesis, a theory, a verbal structure, or truth? If it is a verbal structure, it is still in the world
Yes,
of reality.
yes. Well, naturally, then, if it's a verbal structure, that won't change.
If it
anything.
is still a theory, hypothesis, a thing thought out, it's still there.
Yeah.
Here we say there is no entrance for thought.
Right.
Therefore, it's nothing. And we are saying, is there a relationship between the two? That's the central point we are trying to find out. No, I don't think there is. Yeah, wait, if I say there is no relationship, then what takes place? If there is no relationship between this and that, and I make endeavor, struggle to reach that. Therefore, I imagine I have a relationship to that, either in theory, in hypothesis, or hoping, which is desire. And I'm caught in that. Desire, hope, imagining I have a relationship with that. I go... Because, why do I do this? Because I want something that's permanent. Something that can never be heard. Something that is not ending, beginning, suffering, all that. So I project as an idea or an imagination or as a hope or as a desire that there is this. When I project from this to this, this becomes, and whatever the projection is unreal, is imaginary, it's not, it is a fantasy. Now, if there is actually nothingness, not theory, then where is the connection between the two? In dying to the reality, it sounds absurd, only then there is nothingness. In dying to reality, which means dying to all the things thought has created. Which means dying to all the things of measurement, movement of time. I know nothing about this, right, sir? I know nothing about nothingness. I can't even imagine it. I don't know what it is. No, I'm not concerned with it. But I'm only concerned with this. I live in this. And I here I'm always caught between the false and the correct. Between the false measurement and correct measurement. And I'm adjusting myself always between the two. Or pursuing the one and rejecting the other. But it's still here. And do I see this totally? That desire has no end, hope has no end, struggle has no end, if I live here. So I don't know anything about it. That's all your invention. You may know about nothingness. I'm not. I shut my eyes to that. I only know this. And my desire, not to enter that, to be free of this.
Yeah, but it's still, if it's a desire, it's still the same, isn't it?
Yes, I'm saying my desire, my hope, my longing, my all from this. So I'm still exercising thought. Therefore, I'm still caught in the trap of that. So you tell me, end thinking. Not because you want to get this. I can end it. But is that ending different from this?
What do you mean? Is it?
Huh?
Is what different?
I can end by persuasion, by practice.
Well, no, I mean that's still the same process.
Of course, I can feel I can end it.
Yes, well, that would still be the
So,
same.
therefore, it will still be there. Is there an ending here without a motive?
Well, it seems you brought in nothingness implicitly by by saying no motive. I mean.
Yeah. So if I see the things, completely, there is an ending. Then that is this. Then it is nothing. But I think it would be a wrong question on my part to say, is there a relationship between the two? I won't even ask it. I'm right, that's right. I won't ask it. It's a wrong question. Sorry. At least I won't ask it, because I only know this. All the priests have said, all the etc., etc. I said, please, I only know this. Right, sir. As I only know this, my energy is limited to this. Corrupted, perverted, distorted, neurotic, pathological, everything that. And the man who says, I know, there is a nothingness. He just says it. He doesn't relate this and that. He says there is nothingness. How do you catch him? He doesn't say, in nothingness everything is. He sees the danger of that and says, no, I won't even, there is only nothingness. And the man here says, what's the use of that? It's not marketable. It doesn't relieve my pain, my agony. Keep it to yourself.
The nothingness has come in the field of reality.
You want to introduce it. But the man who says there is nothingness, there is nothingness. But I, living in the field of reality, here you say nothingness. And it has, you are saying it has a reality, has something to me. I want to bring that into here.
Well, basically, you're saying that if we've got to approach the thing with the right question that doesn't presuppose something wrong,
Right,
but,
that's right, sir.
and that you can't, whatever may be right about nothingness, you can't say it, from the starting
Yes,
point where you're in reality.
That's right. Therefore, this, you see, this energy of nothingness is something quite different from this. And he says, don't bother about it. Look at this and get out of it. Don't bother about the other.
Is there an ending without desire?
No, don't ask that question. Only concern ourselves here.
Ending
Yes, ending desire.
or seeing?
Seed. Don't bring cosmos, into the limited.
But you did bring it in during the discussions.
I know, I brought it in because I wanted them to know something exists and may this blasted little stuff. You may reject it. And you come along and say, look to me, there is a state of nothingness. You say that, and it is tremendously true to you. And it means dying for all that. Not a thing in his mind. I hear that. Because he has said it, I have a feeling it is true. It is true. Because he's saying it, his very presence, his very saying, his very word has that. And I want to pull him into this. And he says, go to hell. You can't do it. I think that's right. Quite right, sir. Otherwise we get caught in the ancient trap. God is here. truth is in reality. All the rest of it. Does this answer, sir? That beauty, goodness, truth, the purity of it is in nothingness. But the true, but the good, the beautiful, what's the other? Love.
Yeah, what is it? I forgot. The good, the beautiful, and
the good.
The good and the correct.
Correct, are all in here, which is different from the other. I think that's right.
Yes, well, I think that, just simply that one has a general expectation that a state of nothingness would not produce a man who acted evilly or evil.
Don't you see?
Yes, I know, but I'm saying that, just saying this.
That's a wrong question.
It's a wrong question, but we have to
It's
look
a
at the question.
hypothetical question.
Yes, we have to look at the question in the sense that it's one which is present in our, in our background, in our tradition, over the whole world, and see, that's part of the tradition that a man who acts from the nothingness or from God or whatever people call it, would not do evil things.
I think.
Well, yeah.
I wouldn't. Look, sir, there is, after all, in the Jewish, in the Hindu, not in the Christian world, the nameless.
Yes.
The unmeasurable, the nameless. And I live here and name him all the time. And he doesn't even recognize the name. I think that's true. So my only concern is here. Do I see the totality of this? And if I see it, I'm out. That's right, sir. That holds true right to the, I'd stick to the. Therefore, there is no relationship between the two. So, a man who experiences death, I won't use the word experience, a man who dies, not under anesthesia, operation, accident, disease, old age, dies, because he's alive, active, dies. There is a total ending. But he has ended. The ending in reality is quite different. Therefore, there is no I'm right. I'll stick to this. I'm clear. I'll fight all the scientists now.
What?
I'll fight all the scientists. Love, sir, the love that exists in reality is one thing. That same word cannot be applied here. You can call it compassion, you can call it something else, but it's not the same word, not the same content of that word.
Well, we were discussing love as movement in relationship, but that would seem at first sight to be in reality, since relationship is there. Now, how do you...
Oh yes, it's still there.
It's still in movement in relationship now, but how? Let's get... You say that, however, we cannot use the same word. You see, it's not clear exactly what you mean.
No, but I was using the word love for the moment.
Yeah.
Relation. So, nothingness is something entirely different. Therefore, my relationship here is a movement in time, in change, in breaking down one image and introducing another image, and so on, so on, so on, so on. That's my relationship. When I see the totality of that relationship, really perceive it in the sense, perceiver and the perceived of one, and there is no perceiver but only perception. That's the ending of that, of the whole of that. Then you ask, what is relationship? Right?
Yeah.
I say, do that first, and ask you after. That's right. Dr. Burma has climbed the Everest, and I haven't. He can describe to me the beauty of that climb, but I'm still in the valley. And I long to have that vision of what he has seen. My desire is to that. My desire is for the description, not for the go up there. I have no desire when I go up, when I climb. In the climbing there is no desire. But in the to achieve the description of what he has seen, there is a desire. Right, sir? I think that's holds it.
What?
I think that's whole. That's right.
Right.
We are caught in description, not in actual climbing. Should we? Poor people.
Yeah, I think it's 5:30 now. It's
what time?
hour and a half. That's it.
We better go and shake hands. In reality. Sir, we'll go on every Saturday.
Yes, that's next week's the next time.